Mina Benson Ntini, very Zhombe. Grew up there, went to school there, mission, then left to go secondary also Lucy, then also to work in industry. I'm mainly an industrialist. Also got my own companies at the time, and I've sat in different boards, including was in trade. So what we are looking at, I'm bringing a lot of expertise at Zhombe to give back to the community in Zhombe. At this stage of my life, I feel that Zhombe was better than what we have now. What we have now is a lot of deterioration of everything in terms of services, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of impilo yabantu. People are suffering. Vanhu vari kutambudzika muzvikoro, vakuitika nenyaya dzemvura, madhibha, a lot of suffering in terms of vanhu havasi kukwanisa kana kurarama kwacho zviri kunetsa. So when you find a society is going through such challenges and no one is out there looking out for them, then it calls on people to have some bit of emotion, some bit of feeling about amadzavo nevabereki vavo. This is one of the reasons some of us are saying, how will the things be solved here if we don't involve ourselves? Basically, I was never a politician, but I was somebody who observed what was happening until a time when I had a discussion with President Nelson Chamisa. Our discussion was interesting. I hope he remembers this one day. That he was asking me, what do you expect if you guys are not involving yourself in this struggle? So I decided personally to involve myself, and I decided I didn't want a comfortable seat in town. But the decision was not going to be mine in terms of contesting in Zhombe. The decision was going to be Yevan Leku Zhombe. What was happening was I involved myself initially before 2018 by addressing the needs of Zhombe. For instance, the water situation in Zhombe, where you've got a DDF that really doesn't repair anything, doesn't do anything, doesn't fix roads, the only time we see roads being fixed is when we hear there's some dignitary coming. Maybe the president's wife is coming to Zhombe, you find some scraping of some roads to facilitate but what about the residents of Zhombe? They use these non-existent roads every day of their lives. So I worked on the balls, repairing balls, putting brand new parts of my balls in most of the wards of Zhombe. Like I said, I'm in the Zhombe constituency. So when we did that, people began to appreciate that we were addressing needs of the land. Having said this, the MPs were always there. For 43 years or so, we had MPs. We had MDC once taking over Zhombe, and then we had the ZANU-PF MPs taking the large chunk of those 43 years. But what we observed, we hardly had anyone talking about the challenges of Zhombe in Parliament. We had no one dealing with these challenges in local government. All I'm saying is people were on their own. They've always been on their own. Normally I find that you make people so poor to an extent that they have no choice. When you come with a cup of rice or anything, they will vote for you. Because they have no choice, at least they got a cup of rice or some meal one day. I think it's about time we gave choices to the people of Zhombe, that they can actually work for themselves and have a livelihood that's meaningful without relying on people. If in the next 5 years we can work on people being able to look after themselves, I think this is the biggest thing I'm going for in Zhombe. People must retain their dignity once again, so that the next time, in the next 5 years, they have an election, they will have the courage to make real choices, because they will not be reliant on political parties, including our own political party. I must be very honest. People must be able to get their dignity back. And if our party is serious like we are, we must give people back their dignity so that they can choose to retain us or choose not to retain us. So I was then nominated as a candidate this year to stand in the Zhombe constituency as an MP. I take this challenge seriously because this challenge gives me the opportunity to deal with people's lives. And people are created by God. You can't just take them for granted like has been happening for 43 years. We have challenges of youth in Zhombe. Some of them have never been employed. They have no future. When I was young, my father would boast to people that I've got my children, I've sent them to school so that they will look after me. I never got the opportunity to do that. He died before I looked after him. But today you have parents that will send children to school so that they will look after these children's children, because those children have never worked. They can't look after them. I believe we will have to create an economy in Zhombe. How are we going to do this? I don't believe in promises. I believe in things that I know are within our capacity to do. Zhombe is a very hot area. And I believe that those who know Zhombe will know that we have some fruits in Zhombe. We have both the indigenous, and then we've got the what we call the bull mango, which is part of our strategy. It's CCC. The bull mango is very interesting. It's very important. It has never been marketed externally. And from my experience in Zimtrade as a director, before I stepped down recently, we have people overseas that are looking for fruits that are growing naturally. And Zimbabwe is endowed with that. We would like to look at, can we deal with the sun in Zhombe, not only for solar, that's another area we want to look at, but we look at the sun for drying the fruits naturally, sun-dried fruits. And I think these are exportable. We are beginning to create an economy, beginning to create jobs. What we'll be looking at will be pushing for these things in Parliament, that we start dealing with devolution so that we have an economy. All we want is devolution of the powers to do these things, and then also allocations from that Parliament if we have got the ideas like we have. So we want to do sun-dried fruits for export. The Emirates are an interesting market for such things. We have the bees in Zhombe. I think we need to be serious. In the Empress area, there are areas in Mangwarangwara where people do these things small scale. They are doing honey, and there's a shortage of honey for export. So we need to be creating an economy for Zhombe on things that can be done without costing us a lot of money. Doing hives and doing honey, the cost is more on packaging, and we can deal with packaging. I've chaired the Printing and Packaging Association of Zimbabwe for many, many years. We are able to get reasonable costs, reasonable prices, reasonable quotations from my association and linkages with the printing and packaging sector. I've managed some of those big companies you think of in the printing and packaging sector at a very high level, and I've owned the 4th largest printing company in Zimbabwe as well. So we are dealing with where the costs are when we deal with this economy. They are in the packaging, and we'll find ways of dealing with that. We are able to deal with that. So I've spoken of honey, and then these goats. You know, the Arabs love goats. They love goat meat. And in my discussion with the Arabs at one stage, while I was still at Zimtrade, they were looking at not less than 5,000 tons of meat. And they are not interested in goat meat that we are going to start giving stock feeds. They want natural grass and so forth. You know, our beef, when we used to export, they said Zimbabwe is the best beef. Why? Because it was naturally fed from the grass. So we are thinking we can create an economy. Goats do very well in Zhombe. So if you listen to what I'm saying so far, I'm dealing with things that are there, things that are on the ground, not to pies in the sky where we might say, where are you going to get the money? People have goats already. What we need to do is to bring better animal husbandry. This is where I come in as a prospective MP. Better animal husbandry, better vet services. We've got a veterinary office at the Joel Center. We would like to visit that and see what they do, what expertise is there. Are they running from the province, or they are running from Zhombe? One of the passions I have is to ensure that the services, so-called government services that are in Zhombe, must be functional. We should have a GMB that's not there to distribute food that goes purportedly to social welfare, but then when it's distributed, it's on partisan basis. We would like to destroy partisanry in Zhombe. That includes my own party, CCC. We are trying to make sure that we shall serve the community as a community without dividing the community. After all, people are interrelated. We have the issue of government services. DDF is there in Zhombe. If we ask anyone from Zhombe what DDF does, we don't know. If I'm repairing boreholes, what is DDF doing? If the roads are not repaired, what is DDF doing? Do they get an allocation? Those are the things we need to investigate in Parliament. Do they still get an allocation as a government department? I believe they do. And what is happening? So the government services that are stationed in Zhombe, I will make sure that they are functional through Parliament. And the local government candidates we are seeing that have been nominated are people that are of serious nature. And as far as I'm concerned, the president will have his cabinet. I will have a cabinet in Zhombe that is the local government. So that we ensure that when resources are from, we have fought for them and they have come through Parliament and they have been allocated through devolution. The local government, which has been a nightmare in this country, the local government must function and must function for the people, because that's the closest unit to the people. So this is critical for me and for the party. So I would like to also be looking at one of the passions I have. When I was young in Zhombe, there were council offices at the Jewel Center. They are still there. But all services you want a stand in Zhombe, you want anything, you go to Kwekwe. For me, what that does is people who don't come from Zhombe will have less businesses, less facilities in Zhombe, because they might not have, with the way it's state of the economy, they might be failing to get the money to be pushing for their own home economies to function. The buildings are there, council buildings are there in Zhombe. I would like to see employment created in Zhombe. I would like to see devolving and moving of the offices from Kwekwe. Let Zimbabwe Rural Council serve everywhere else if others are not going to be pushing this. I'll be pushing for Zimbabwe Rural Council to allow Zhombe to run its council affairs. It has got business stands. It has got many things where the money is collected through Zimbabwe. Roads are not being done, everything is not being done. So I would like to see that movement back to where it was originally planned, that these things should come back to Zhombe. In so doing, we'll be creating employment in Zhombe, in those council offices, those who drive graders, those who work at DDF, those who fix balls through DDF. Because we need to be creating this economy. Once the roads are done, I'm looking at us having transport systems that work, the bus services in Zhombe. We have a lot of accidents. I'm sure there's a lot of reporting of accidents along that road, which is also a nightmare. That tarred road from Kwekwe to Zhombe. I have not gone beyond Zhombe lately, but I'm sure it's the same scenario going to Kwekwe. What are the MPs doing about this? We've had MPs for 43 years. And I think because Zinara is a government institution, I think this is not now the preserve of the local government, it's the preserve of the MP in Parliament. Zinara reports that they've allocated so much to this province, that province. I'm yet to see where that money is being used. So I think the MP must hold government, in particular Zinara, to account. You drive on this road to Zhombe, it's a nightmare, it's hell on the road. And remembering that the sides of that road are not actually, if you try and run away from the road, say there's a cow that comes in, you go into some thorns or whatever and you are stuck there. So these things the MP must attend to, and I am saying, if I am chosen as the MP for Zhombe this time around, these are the things we should deal with, not promises, the real things that are there on the ground. So the movement of the council office in Zhombe is key to a lot of development in terms of business. As they collect the levies, we would want to see an allocation going back to the community so that there's a maintenance of service for the community. One of the things I need to just mention is the network in Zhombe. The network in Zhombe, if you get to Zhombe, especially from the experience of COVID, how far behind are the children in Zhombe, in the schools in Zhombe today? We're dealing with education now. When in towns, they were learning from internet, using the internet. What has happened to those children? Are they not 3-4 years behind in their education right now? Because they were not supposed to be going to school because of COVID. What if we have another pandemic? So the network in Zhombe is not an issue I think will be major in Parliament. I think it's an issue that should be major with how much the MP who gets in, who is chosen and who wins, has networks. The networks is, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see if someone is the capacity of an MP cannot walk into Econet and deal with the expansion of their network in Zhombe. Does that need legislation? I don't think so. I think it needs a marketing strategy that can be sold to Econet to see the benefit of increasing their coverage in Zhombe. It's just from a business perspective. So if we then engage Econet, Net1, and all these people on a business perspective, you know what, we've got so many people in Zhombe. The potential of cell phones that are in Zhombe are these. And the business potential we're trying to create in Zhombe is this. You need to move into Zhombe now so that you invest into that network coverage. Why do I need that network coverage for our community? It's because someone can be beaten by a stake, someone can be sick, someone can be in trouble. Again, we are moving into health issues. How are people who have no road network leading to their homes, who can't phone anybody, how can they be left to their own fate to die? Then we'll deal with, we hear a lot of stories from government, mainly, I'll say this in Shona, when we discuss in Zhombe, we discuss on these things, we actually say, show us one hospital built in Zhombe. We don't want to know about any constituents. We just want to know what hospital has been built in Zhombe. What road? This is the campaign that we hear. We don't know the road that has been fixed in Zhombe. We don't have the road. We don't have roads. The schools, we don't have a new school built in Zhombe. So no one can campaign in Zhombe talking about these things that are pies in the sky. So we need to ensure that when somebody is sick in a village, they will either be able to contact somebody using their cell phone, or they will be able to be driven to a medical facility in the shortest possible time when the roads are working. So these are the challenges we have. There are much more. So I've dealt with employment, I've dealt with what can be done, giving examples. But I believe that we have a lot more that can be done. One of the things I want to do before my term ends, if I'm elected, is removing the handout mentality in our community. It removes the dignity of human beings. If you visit our constituents and you see people queuing in the sun, it's a hot area. Zhombe is very hot. Queuing, old people, the whole day. Then the so-called MP will come, driving a nice car, coming to address people who have been sitting there having not eaten. They go there early in case they miss. They are there until 4 or 5 and they have to walk back home 20-30 kilometers. Now we need to restore dignity to our people. Otherwise, let's stop calling ourselves Christians. We need to restore that dignity. The handout mentality, by the time this term is finished, if I'm elected, I would like to remove it from our people first. Liberate their minds. But we can only liberate those minds when they are able now to have an economy that makes them live. So the economy of Zhombe deals with the handout mentality. So that no politician ever again will campaign using these trinkets of handing out things to people. Politicians must come and campaign after 5 years, showing what can be done to change people's lives. You don't change people's lives by giving them a bag of meal or something like that. That mentality. If I fail everything else, I want to remove it from people. If I can deal with the economy and remove this mentality, then we shall begin to see new leadership that is chosen properly. I will enjoy being home to Zhombe and watch new leadership that will campaign easily by just being questioned by the community. What have you done? What can you do? This is what was done before. What can you do? You can't say I'll bring you meal anymore. After 5 years, I don't want to hear that in Zhombe. It's important for us. Otherwise, we have people that are teaching their children that you have to support this party or that party because then tozorarama. We used kuenda kumunda isusu before going kuchikoro kuZhombe kwasasiye masimini, and would then go to people would say today children's rights. No, we were trained. I'm a workaholic myself because I was trained that way. I was raised that way. Would come back from school and go back again to the fields. So we never begged for food. Whatever food was sold to GMB got its money's worth. The money was real and it was valuable. Today you take it to the GMB, they pay you nothing really. When they say they give you some papers, that's the money. They pay you nothing. So that you'll be hungry, then you'll come and beg for something. Then you'll be controlled. So the dignity is critical for me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. The issue of the projects. As we meet villagers and we engage, what we are engaging in is, can they see their lives change if we do things this way? Yes, they do. They're excited. Remember the big issue, but it's a small scale. Why is it at a small scale? It's how can they be funded to be able to do it big scale? And if I'm not trusting funding in the country unless we take over government, which we are trying to do. If we do so as CCC, these are the things we have discussed, that we need to change people's lives. And these ideas will be taken on board and they'll be accepted in the new government. But how do we fund, supposing things don't go this way? We know we have the contacts already of the people that are looking for the honey. We know them. And I think what they need is the product that's honey that is not this artificial honey and things like that. They will be so willing if they, the world today, if they know you are dealing with a community that is underdeveloped and you are trying to raise their lives, funding can be sourced. I think I've been in the business world. Funding can be sourced not locally, I think externally. And how is it offset? It's normally offset. Normally it's a grant if it's underdeveloped areas, but if it's not a grant, as you sell the product, a percentage goes towards paying the funding. So there are those methods that we can use. I've explained this to the villagers and I've said they shouldn't have a headache of how it's done, but they should have a headache of, do they have the land area to be able to do these things? Because given the politics of our country, I wouldn't be surprised to hear those that oppose us actually coming up with Makurumisa on Nenyuchi. Yet we have lived Nenyuchi all our lives. But because they have no message, I will be honest with you, particularly as NPF has no message. I'm on the ground. Their message is simple. Norondo ewondo. Musakanga nukwatakava. People want to know where we are going now. They are not interested in things that are not meaningful to them. Vanhu vakuda kuziva kuti chichararamisa mhuri yangu ndakutochembera, mhuri yangu chitambura, but vana venyu vachingoenda all over the place kuchikoro and everything else. Chichararamisa mhuri yangu chii, that's what we should deal with. So in terms of, well, we talk of the Burumango. You go to the areas Malamulela, Gwenzi, going further, I'm talking of Zhombe South. These areas, you sit like this, they don't sell you mangoes. You sit, they will even give you a bucket to take home. Because you eat and you are tired of eating them, then they will give you to take home. We are saying, let's commercialize this. Let's still give people as they come. But let's commercialize these things. And I spoke of sun drying deliberately because it answers the other question that how are you going to deal with the funding of these things? Because we don't have the funding, but if we're exporting, the funding will be there. But because we don't, and this Eco Bank and banks like that are very keen on anything export. Remember, we got the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. So these are facilities, and I understand how those things function. I understand how EcoBank will function in terms of export financing. So, and I know what department of theirs to go there and actually, in Africa, we know where to go. But we want to deal with asirima pies in the sky. We want to deal with real things, because politicians will promise you a bridge where there is no river. We want to deal with real things where we are really saying, the mangoes are there, the trees are there, so they don't have to wait 25 years for the tree to grow. It's there. We are saying, what do we do? Because Mberekwangu has gotten to a stage of planting a tree, and we need to praise them for it. And they are very productive, those trees. Some of those mangoes don't seem to be attacked by diseases. Plant a mango kumbao kunotona dzimwe dzakuora. I don't know why it's nganyanyora. Maybe it's the sun or whatever. They've done well planting these trees. But I think we take the knowledge from that level going forward, because these things are not mine, and Baba should make money for you. So that we will deal with. I think there was a question here, a percentage that has been taken from my money, and all of us here. Let's ask ourselves, what is used for that money? What I know, they'll say if you want to do a project with Koro, they'll use that money, they'll come and put more poles and so forth and so forth. But if all of us are paying into that fund, is it about schools only? Or it should be about the villagers, since it's a rural fund, the villagers, when they build a house like we do in town, to make those magets cost effective as a tourist direct. How can RIA do this? When I apply with magets out, it should be at that subsidized rate. But better still, can't RIA be expanded to also look at solar? Since we are dealing with solar, government itself should deal with that. But the agents of government, like because the idea is to give electricity. Solar is part of electricity. So let's actually say, otherwise, let us now say, for us, what works for us is solar. Can RIA have a small portion that deals with electrification? With the issue of gold in Zhombe, I don't know if you are aware today, I'll use the language they use, with Raduka. Rikaduka payaji pako panomuka pato zara. And sadly, what we now have is the one leading the pack is an MP. It's a non-fact in Zhombe. So it's at your yard, but you no longer own that gold. What are we going to do with gold? To start with, anyone mining in Zhombe. And I think when we try and motivate this legislation, that anyone mining, I think we should extend it beyond being selfish about Zhombe. We should extend it to anyone mining in rural areas, predominantly rural areas. There should be a percentage from the sales of gold that is retained, because you will see infrastructure is being, environment is being destroyed in the rural areas. Minda ya irimwa chikura imwa pasina, and particularly when the ganzira duga, they go because they don't want to use their money. They'll go and bring the Chinese. The Chinese are reckless with your fields. They are brutal. They are not the best people to invest. I'm sorry, if I can go back a bit. If you look at Rio Tinto, you look at the old Shabani mines, you look at all these mines. I know this will be said colonial, but we look at things on a practical basis. When the British were here and they were having Rio Tinto, the truth of the matter is they developed infrastructure. If you go kind of turn off Empress, ukienda ku Empress, behind the Empress nickel mine from the main road, that road you start, but right now Katoweka strip, it was developed near Rio Tinto. That's infrastructure, and that road it links with Gokwe. They would develop clinics, they would develop schools, Rio Tinto school. They would develop. The Chinese don't do that. I'm using this example to show you the type of investor we have that has come to look. That's what the Chinese would do. So we would want to see a percentage in all rural areas, Kukitwa mine, and with the environmental agency, EMA, being stricter on how mining is done. Because after they are gone, the people in rural areas will remain. So they should be stricter. They have a mandate to look after the environment. I don't think they are doing so. Gold Rabuda, a percentage that's retained in the community. That's why I wanted the councils to be back in the rural areas. That should be used to develop. If we are not mining, somebody's mining, then we should enjoy the benefits of mining. If we are mining, we should then enjoy the benefits ourselves of mining that gold. We can deal with the later issues. Can we have factories, jewelry and so forth? It might be a hard sale in 5 years. I would like to be practical. It might be a hard sale in 5 years. By the time you do this, are people now ready? Have they been trained to do these things? But I would want to create jobs that are quicker to create, so that the relief comes to the area. But for now, any mining, not only gold, any mining, we need to push legislation that there's retention for people to benefit. But if they can mine, we need to push legislation as well that will support local mining, but in a proper way. Why can't the government, if we are in that parliament, job creation? Tinama geologists who are not working today. We've got mining engineers in this country that are not working. Where you find mining engineers, who provincial office mining or provincial Kubindura, or whatever. But why are we not having geologists where we can put infrastructure at Zimba, who will come and say, hapana banda, as they say. A geologist will actually use their knowledge to say, mine here. Then we've got people that will come and deal with the environment. That we still make money, but we leave the environment in a proper way. And farming can still continue in shop. Been hacked in a bemba agafa. But why are these people carrying Mabemba? They are carrying Mabemba because there is lawlessness in the country that has been allowed. Because you can't be tough on these people, because one want to talk about voter wakadaro. So I don't think the death penalty should be premised on Kurana Kwatuita as a country. Maybe because of economic challenges, maybe because of we shouldn't craft laws because of the situation that we find ourselves in. That has been caused. That situation has been caused. I don't believe in the death penalty as a person. Why? Because I'm a Christian. And it says, thou shalt not kill. Now, death penalty is killing. If you are talking of a death penalty, we are going to kill somebody. And as a government, we are going to implement that and kill somebody. I think what's driving the talk yet death penalty is because of the crime level. There are fatal things. But maybe the fatal thing is the lawlessness in this country, where we need not to have partisan laws, partisan enforcement of laws, where we need to say there is a Department of Home Affairs, there is a Department of Investigations, there is a Department of people are living happily in this country. When did not watch I should skip a bit in my heart. Then there's no need for death penalties, because there will be law in this country, there will be control of what happens in this country, and people will feel protected. We used to walk freely in this country years back. You would do window shopping at night. You wouldn't be afraid that something will happen to you. Today, it's this bad. And Kwandira had a problem when laws are now used to manage society. A problem to statutory instrument, no death penalty, an act of parliament. That to me is we are dealing with symptoms, not the cause. So maybe in short, I do not support the death penalty.
Okay.